Greetings and salutations, good people of the internet. My name is Big Lou and welcome back to my workshop. This week's video is going to be the continuation of my two-part project where I am building the plans for the flip-top tool cart from Brad Rodriguez at Fix This Build That. Last week I actually built the cart. Last video, it's been a couple of weeks, I built the cart, and this week I'm going to be adding the wings from the miter saw station build that he did and adding a dust hood of my own design that I'm going to be incorporating into this station. Now, I took the plans that Brad designed, so eloquently designed, and he has available on his website, and I'll have links to both the plans for the flip-top tool cart and the miter saw stand down in the description below. And if you missed the video where I built this, which is part one technically, I'll have it in a card at the end of this video and also in the description down below. All that being said, this week I'm going to be adding the wings, like I said, and the dust hood, but I adapted his plans to make the tool cart work in my shop. I also adapted the plans for the wings because the miter saw stand is a different size than the tool cart. So I took the plans for the miter saw stand and I adapted the wings to fit this stand. All that being said, Louie, I'm home. He never gets. What the hell is that? Hey, bro. Welcome back. Did you do another project without me? Well, no. I thought you would have more fun at the conference than you would here, watching me rack my head against the wall dealing with this. And besides, it was going to be a really complex build, and I couldn't deal with any of your shenanigans last week. Shenanigans? Oh, I'll show you shenanigans. Shenanigans, huh? Okay. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to regret that one. All right, let's get to work. All right, so while he's in there getting ready for whatever shenanigans that he's getting ready for, let's actually get some work done. Brad's plans call for the dimensions to be cut from a full sheet of plywood, but that's if you're building the miter saw cart as it's intended as a full miter saw cart. As I said earlier, the cart that I've built is not as big as his original design, so I went into SketchUp and I took his original plans and I redimensioned them to fit the dimensions of the cart that I built. So I've got some some remnants of some other projects that I built. I'm going to use my track saw to get them to rough dimensions, finish them up on the table saw, and then we could start putting them together and see how they fit. And then we could start talking about fine-tuning things and just making sure that everything fits the way that it's intended, according to Brad's plans. Let's get to work. Okay, so having a plan and cut list are great. For all intents and purposes, it's wonderful to know exactly where you're going to be going. But until you actually see it in person, you really don't know what it's going to look like. And that's where putting things together and dry fitting and things like that come into play. And that's prototyping. And that's kind of what I've been doing here. I've got things set in place with the rough dimensions, and I've made some adjustments from what my plans actually say, because once I cut it to what my plans said and I put things kind of in place, I realized that I had way too much wing here for what my saw is. Now, Brad's plans are based on a 12-inch miter saw, and I've only got a 10-inch saw, and I didn't need as much wing as he had. It's also based on a much bigger box. I just don't need that much. The other thing that I needed to take into consideration is that his original fold-up wing did not have to take into account the fact that it's got these knobs on this flip top. Mine does, because I'm adding it to this flip top cart. His original miter saw stand was just a standalone stand. It didn't need to take that into account. So I've modified the wing to take into account those couple of things, which is going to be fine. It's going to suit my needs for exactly what I want it to do, and I'm not concerned about having to make those alterations. Making those types of decisions on the fly is something that, as a woodworker and as a maker, we have to be able to account for. We can't just blindly follow the plans. And if that's what you want to do, then absolutely, you're more than welcome to do that. It's just not the type of project that I'm doing here. I'm taking an existing set of plans and modifying those plans to fit my space. So now that I know exactly what it's going to look like and what changes I need to make, I can go ahead and start putting the actual frame of the wing together and start putting this thing into place. And then we can start working on the shell for the dust collection. So we've still got a lot of work to do. Let's get to it. So with the wings done and fully mounted, I can move on to worrying about the fence. Now, for the fence, I know the wings I didn't do in the standard way that most people do, and that's because only one side needs to fold. This side is really going to be based up against my workbench, and I've talked about that before. So I made this side just, you could see, with the, there. With the pegs and these dowels here so that it's removable and it could just be stowed away, and this can go flush up against the side of the workbench. That's why I did it this way. Now, the other side is still fold downable and it's going to be permanent there. And I did that because I'm rarely going to move this thing, but in the off chance that I do have something that's going to need this wing to be moved, I have that option to attach it if I need to. Now, for the fence. All right. Most standard blades on miter saws and stuff can cut extruded aluminum, but I'm not going to be taking any chances because I'm using this standard extruded aluminum Craig combo track. I'll have a link to this down in the description below. And what it is it's a combination T-track and a slot for a tape measure so that I can have a stop block attached to my fence on the outside that is a vertical stop block, and I could see the markings on the tape measure without having to lean over to see, oh, what's it say on the top? Because us vertically challenged folks don't like to lean over things, and it just, I think it'll work better, and that's just how I want it to be. However, because this blade that I have on this miter saw, it was a cheap blade when I bought it a long time ago, and I'm not going to be taking any chances with this or having anything break or anything like that. So, I got this Diablo 10-inch blade for a miter saw that is specifically designed for non-ferrous metals and aluminum and things like that. It was a little bit expensive, but I think it'll be exactly the right thing to cut this without risking any damage to my saw, any damage to me, my project, or anything like that. So, and it'll be also good for me to have just on hand because, you know, I may want to cut metal again in the future. So, let's go ahead and get this thing on. We can cut this thing up, get the fence done, and then we can worry about the hood. So, let's get to it. Overkill? Probably. I don't care.
It's tiny, like a treasure from a sunken pirate wreck.
Well, there it is. I've got a dust hood and an outfeed wing on one side with a stop block. I still need to work on the stop block, but I'll get to that in another time. The one that I have here it'll do the job, but the track that I picked, I have regrets on it, and I'll get to that possibly in another video. I need to use it for a little while and really make up my mind about it, but I wish that I'd have gone with something that has the tape measure that mounts flush to where the stop block is, as opposed to being recessed into that where it is, and you can kind of see that in some of the B-roll that I'm playing. The dust hood works a lot better than I thought it would, even with just this cardboard on here. I was going to cut out something out of some masonite, but the more I was just going to use this cardboard as a template and then trace it onto the masonite, but with some of the clearances here, and I'm not good with a jigsaw, as you saw with my ability cutting out the hole for the dust port. I'm babbling a little bit, but that's okay. You're used to that with me. So eventually I am going to replace this cardboard with some of that masonite, but I'm going to trace it out onto a template, throw it into one of the programs, and then take it over to a buddy of mine's house who has a CNC machine, and he could just cut that out. But that's not what this video is about. It works. You've seen some B-roll. I love it. That's how this video is going to end. I need to use this for a little bit before I see about making any adjustments to it, so you definitely want to get subscribed to my channel if you want to see what kind of adjustments that I make. As I've said, I've got a lot of plans for this station. You're definitely going to want to see what I've got cooking up in the shop. So I'm going to get cooking on the next project. You folks, as always, stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay safe. We'll see you next time. Also, so much for his shenanigans. What the hell was that about?